Yesterday there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Hannah Olson and I love making videos about homeschooling, homemaking, and motherhood. I live in Minnesota with my husband and our 3 young children, and I stay at home with the kids and I homeschool them like I just mentioned. Today we are talking about, we're walking down memory lane a bit, and we're talking about Valentine's Day crafts because 'tis the season for cute crafts, and if you are a mom of young children, I wanted to share some feasible, doable, and pretty simple crafts with you that you can keep just for your own sake, or you can mail them to relatives, send them to friends, and things like that. I have 4 crafts to share with you today, and each of these is linked down below as a blog post. So if you want to see step-by-step materials, step-by-step instructions, and my what I call my baby preparedness steps to minimize mess, hopefully, and to make things more doable, then definitely check out the blog post for each of these Valentines down below. So the first of these 4 Valentine's Day crafts is a simple baby footprint Valentine's craft, and I love it so much. This was the first one I did with Sophie when she was about 4 months old, and I absolutely love how it turned out. So for this one, you need red construction paper and red paint, and then some kind of white paper. You also need a Sharpie for a lot of these Valentines, and scissors and double-sided tape goes a long ways, especially if you are not wanting to have glue dry. Pretty much all you need to do for this craft is I squirted some red paint onto a parchment paper. You can also use aluminum foil, and I made sure I had a large amount of white sheets of paper nearby, because then I held Sophie, little baby Sophie, in my lap, and I stuck her foot in the paint to cover the bottom of her foot completely. Then I leaned way forward and I pressed her foot firmly onto white paper, and sometimes you have to wait a second to let the little baby toes relax. And it's so cute how much she actually liked it. She actually giggled, I remember, during this session. And we did a whole bunch of white pieces of paper with one foot. I wiped off that foot, cleaned that foot off, and then we dipped her other foot into the red paint. Again, I just use a really cheap acrylic paint. You can get it for less than $1 usually at any craft store or Walmart and stuff. But then we tilted the foot a little bit so it looked like a heart. Then you can use the Sharpie later on to truly outline a black heart all around the feet, and then we just added Happy Valentine's Day. And of course I had to do a new mom little photo shoot with Sophie and her first Valentines. So cute, and I felt like she was just the sweetest little Valentine. So hopefully that one is a fun and easy one, especially if you know someone who has a brand new baby, or pretty much any little one, maybe ages 1 and under, who would have little feet that would turn into a cute little heart. And then the year Sophie was 1, like maybe 16 months old, she made 2 Valentine crafts. We decided to go for 2 because I found 2 themes that I absolutely loved and wanted to try. So I thought, why not? I had 1 child, I had a lot more time to do these crafts, and it was really fun to do these with Sophie. This second one is a Bumblebee footprint craft, and it was one of my favorites. Honestly, these all are though. So this Bumblebee footprint craft, you need yellow paint, any color construction paper. I chose pink just to go along with Valentine's Day because yellow isn't that much of a Valentine color. And then you can have some kind of cardstock to layer it a bit and make the card look a little bit more put together or a little bit more fancy. I always mail these in 5x8 or 6x9 inch envelopes, depending on how large your Valentines end up being. I just wanted to note that quickly here. I typically cut them or trim the Valentines a little bit so that they fit a 5x8 or 6x9 envelope, and you can find envelopes on Amazon real easy, and have a whole set of those for mailing cute crafts or Valentines to relatives for life. So just like the first craft, I started with squirting the yellow paint down onto the parchment paper or aluminum foil. Sophie was over age 1 at this point, so she was more of a squirmy toddler, but we got a good stamp of her feet. And I did let these footprints dry because you will be marking over them with Sharpie, as you can see, to make the bee later on. So once we had stamped all the footprints and they had dried, I cut each footprint out, but not right around the foot. I left a big rectangle around each foot. You're basically cutting one large piece of paper in half, and hopefully it's one that's close enough to fit your large size envelopes. And then with a thin black marker, I love those thin tip Sharpies, I did the antenna and wings, and I made dashes below the foot to make it look like, well, it led to the cute phrase, like something like "be mine." Then I took a very thick poster marker and I made several thick black stripes across the bumblebee, then added eyes and a smile. And then of course you can also layer with cardstock or something else to make it look a little more classy and cute. I always signed them Love Sophie, and for this one I did "be mine," as you can see, and I thought it was just a really sweet way to see the foot. I don't always like crafts that completely disguise the foot and turn it so much into something else that you can't see the cute little toes and the cute little imprint and the size of their foot, or sometimes the size of their hand. So not all of these crafts are footprint crafts, but the majority of them are, because I have found that stamping a foot is easier, especially with a squirmy toddler. That's a lot easier to kind of hold on to their leg, of course gently but firmly, and get that stamped, as opposed to a hand, which hands just tend to wiggle around even more, at least in my experience. But we do have a very cute and totally worth it handprint craft that I want to share with you next. This next Valentine was probably one of my favorites of all time, just because of the extra cute personalized factor of having your child's photo as part of the Valentine. And I know that some kids are really not a fan of squishing their hand around in wet paint, but if you can make this happen, it is so worth it and such a beautiful keepsake. So this one we call the Blowing Kisses handprint craft, because it's like you're blowing a kiss. So your hand comes from up by your mouth out, of course, and this one has your child's picture underneath the handprint. So when the recipient of this Valentine opens it up and folds the handprint down in a way, then they see your child's darling face. So for this one I would recommend red or pink construction paper for layering, but you'll also need white paper and white cardstock, a black marker, and then photos of your child cut out to show their face. So make sure these are equal to or smaller than the size their handprint will be. So if you look at your child's hand, you want the printed out picture that you find to be just about that size or a little smaller, because it will need to be covered up by their hand on the Valentine. That makes it an extra fun peekaboo element. And then for this craft, this one we used red paint just to go with the general Valentine theme. I squirted that red paint, just red acrylic paint again, out onto the aluminum foil covered cookie sheet. Make sure you have lots of white sheets of paper nearby. Honestly, when children are really young, I pretty much would have them down to their diaper so that we could easily, well, then the paint doesn't get on anyone's clothes, and then you can easily pop them in the bathtub afterwards if things got a little bit out of hand. And we always would sit on our like linoleum kitchen floor years ago in our old house, and that really helped too, to be in a wipeable area. So your child will stick their hand, you'll help stick their hand into the red paint and get a good stamp so that you have every finger there. You'll let the handprints dry. Ours only took a couple of hours to dry, so this could potentially be just a one-day craft, so you still have time before Valentine's Day this year. Then you'll cut each handprint out, curving loosely around the general shape of the handprint. And next you'll cut the white cardstock in half, just so you have a little bit smaller than half a sheet, so the Valentines will fit into maybe, what did I say earlier, those 6x9 or 5x8 envelopes. So you'll put just on one side of the cardstock some phrase like "Happy Valentine's Day, blowing lots of kisses your way." So you want a hint as to why the hand folds down, blowing lots of kisses your way, and then just cut short strips of cardstock to be the little paper hinges of your Valentine. And you can use tape to affix the photo of your child to one side of the cardstock strip hinge and attach the handprint on the other side. Then you'll tape the photo down and you've created that cute flap that shows the hand blowing kisses. I feel like this one is perfect for sending to relatives who live far away, because then they do have that personal photo of the child. It's so darling. And then of course the handprint is really fun for them too. But I love that it has a child's photo in it. This next Valentine I'm sharing is one that you can do if you have more than one child. You certainly can do it if you're just doing a craft with one child, but this one I love if you have siblings. It's such a cute sibling craft idea. This one is called Love Bugs, and you have two little red love bugs. They are akin to, or they look like a ladybug, I would say, and this is a footprint craft. So the ones you see here were done in 2020. Soren was born in 2019 in November, so that's why his foot is so little. He was just a few months old, and Sophie was 2 years older than that. So it's really fun when you can line siblings' feet up for a little craft, and they both fit on one sheet of paper at that age, which is so fun. This is a workable and enjoyable craft for everyone because it only involves getting paint on one of your child's feet. Well, you do every child, but everyone only gets 1 foot dirty. So for this one, you'll need a red marker or something to color in the cute little heart antenna. Basically, you want to turn or transform these bugs into as lovey and as cute of a bug as possible. So you're not just drawing a plain ladybug. We added hearts on the bugs' bodies. As you can see, we added heart antenna, and I even turned the O of the word love bugs into a heart. So we're really trying to dress up the fact that we're talking about insects and make them really cute and darling for Valentine's Day. Besides the red marker, you'll need a black marker, maybe 2 black markers, 1 thick and 1 fine tip. And it's red paint and the white paper, again, super doable. You can get extra construction paper to layer these white cardstock pieces with, and a glue stick or something like double-sided tape helps a lot. So I started by cutting the white cardstock in half in advance, so I had lots of white paper surrounding us on the kitchen floor, so we were ready. We want to turn this into as much of an assembly line process as possible to ensure the greatest happiness and success for everybody. And again, I started by squirting that red paint out onto an aluminum foil covered cookie sheet, spread it around a bit. I held my kids one at a time in my lap, and we stuck their foot in the paint, pressed their foot firmly onto the white paper, and paused for a second to let them relax their toes a bit and get a good stamp of their foot. And then if you're doing a sibling craft, you want to repeat these steps with the next child's foot right next to the other older sibling's foot, and then let the footprints dry. It only took ours maybe an hour to completely dry. Meanwhile, I cut the red construction paper in half and I trimmed it around to make sure it was a size that would fit in our large envelopes. Now it's time to turn the footprints into actual love bugs. And with the thick black marker, I drew the love bug's head over the heel of the foot, so it doesn't cover up way too much of the foot. I felt like we could still see their cute footprint. I colored it in, then I drew a stripe down the center of the foot, and I added little black hearts, added legs, and I used a thin-tipped marker to write love bug or love bugs underneath the toes of the footprint. You can add little special touches like turning the O into a heart there. So there you have it. That's the love bugs craft we were able to do. I thought it turned out so cute. I love a good sibling craft, and it's kind of bittersweet to look at these because now my children can't both fit their feet onto a small enough sheet of paper to mail it to people. Not that people really want a big footprint. It is just so sweet to see their little feet here on one piece of paper. That's it for today's Valentine's Day crafts video. I hope it was fun for you to walk down memory lane with me a bit and see those photos, especially if you've been around here for a while. Then it's really fun to look at the photos, especially of Sophie when she was really little, because a lot of these blog posts were written when Sophie, our firstborn, was little. You can find all of the blog posts over on justbeblog.com. You can search the word Valentine or Valentines, but I will link them all down below to make it even easier for you. And you still have time to make these before Valentine's Day, which is so fun. If you make any of these Valentine's Day crafts, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Hannah B. Olson. I have that linked down below as well. I would love to see how it turns out for you and your little ones, and I would love for you to stick around. So if you liked this video, of course, please give it a thumbs up, but I would also love it if you would take a sec and subscribe to my channel here, especially if you love motherhood content, homeschooling content, or homemaking. So that's it, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're at, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.